Omagena Tamarandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshmatamyena Tasmai Shingurave Namaha Panchakapaturvya Sakripasindhuvivacha Patitanam Bhavanebhya Vaishnavibhya Namo Namaha. With my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord are like desire trees and oceans of mercy for the fallen conditioned souls. Chota Bada Bhakti Gana Vandanam Shitaram. Of my respectful obeisances, I place my head at the feet of all the Vaishnavas, whether they are neophyte, Chota, beginners, Kanishtas, or whether they're more advanced, Madhyams, or whether they are Bada, Uttama Bhagavats, all Vaishnavas. Prabhupada writes, Vaishnava is one who has accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the goal of life. This is in Kapila Dev's teachings, Canto 3, Chapter 29. But he also says, and this is important, a Vaishnava who is not of good character, should be avoided. Should be respected, but should be avoided. He says it 3 times. I suggest you read this, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Lord Kapila Dev's instructions to Devahuti. So in other words, vichar, there should be some discrimination. So we offer respect to all the Vaishnavas, Chotabada, but still there should be some realization of what level they're on, and according to what level they're on, we associate accordingly. Very simply, if they're on a lower level, we treat them as guests. We try to please them, provide water, suitable words, and encourage them. If they're on an equal level, that's called friendship. You can only have friendship amongst equals. So then Guyam Prakiti Achati, we may reveal our hearts. You may inquire confidentially. And if they're superior and more advanced than us, then we dedicate our lives to serving them. We respect them fully and worship such personalities. So we're reading from this book, which was just published. Humility is the solution. This is in Detroit. I wrote this in 1997. 16th of May. I was in Detroit. So intelligence means the power or ability to analyze things in a proper perspective. When I analyze myself in the proper perspective, what is my conclusion? I am extremely fortunate to be allowed to stay within ISKCON, considering all my material desires, past misdeeds, and offensive nature. I am surprised that I am still tolerated and allowed to stay within the society. Continuing, I should be grateful to be allowed to live within Srila Prabhupada's house, to have prasad, to see the deity, and to mix with sincere followers of Srila Prabhupada. Adopting a humble mood, I consider myself fortunate. This humility is the solution to any problems or anxiety. So of course we know that Lord Chaitanya stressed when we chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 2 things. It should be done in the mood of being lower than the straw in the street, and lower, not the straw in the street, but even lower than the straw in the street, and more tolerant than the tree. Without being tolerant, we're going to be disturbed. We're going to get agitated by what other people say, or perhaps even what they don't say about us. If we've done something, the body will agitate us. The mind will agitate us. That's called depression. What was his name? One philosopher, the name will come. He said, depression is frozen anger. Karl Marx. Anyhow, so continuing, tribulations increases humility. Tribulations given to me by Krishna are his blessings, and they are to remove my pride and increase my humility. So, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text 17, 18, and 19. Please read this carefully. Tribulations imposed upon a devotee constitute an exchange of transcendental bhav between the Lord and the devotee. There's an exchange of bhav or love. These tribulations do not come from karma, but they're given personally by Krishna, purify us, and also the Mahajans may go through tribulation, like Draupadi, like Prahlad Maharaj, simply to set an example. So more neophyte devotees know what to do. If by chance you are kidnapped by the Taliban and whipped in 22 marketplaces, like Haridas Thakur, you should chant Krishna's holy name. Try to think of Krishna. Of course, this is very unlikely that we will be hijacked like this, but we get some slight headache, some backache, some very minor criticism from another devotee or family member, and we have a knee-jerk reaction. We become angry, we lash out. So humility is really the solution. And humility is a characteristic of bhakti. Humility comes from bhakti. Now this is entitled An Open Letter to Critics. So everyone has their critics. I have mine. Govinda Maharaj had his critics, and they tried to criticize him. This is even GBC members. Prabhupada had his critics amongst various God brothers. Even Lord Chaitanya was criticized by Prabodhananda Saraswati. Prakashananda Saraswati. And of course, Lord Krishna is criticized by many Hindus. So we can expect to be criticized. So this is my own personal letter to my critics. Thank you for pointing out my defects and faults. I want to perfect my service to Srila Prabhupada and his mission, and by pointing out my mistakes, you are helping me. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said one should take blasphemy as a benediction from the Lord. Continuing my letter, open letter to critics. You are assisting me in my attempt to develop tolerance and humility. Without humility, I cannot advance in my spiritual life. According to Srila Sanatana Goswami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there's a direct relationship between humility and one's eagerness to develop love of God. They are in relationship of cause and effect. By your kind criticism, I am being forced to develop my humility and tolerance, and in this way you are helping me advance. So that's Brihad Bhagavatamrita. As far as I know, Volume 3, Chapter 5, and the Sanskrit is Danyamata Danya Mata, the mother of humility, is Lobha, the thirst for love of God. And love of God, not general, but Lobha, real intense love of God, in Sakya Vatsalya Madhurya, is the mother of humility. Mm. Continuing with my letter, because of weakness, I sometimes get a little angry and begin to see things from a mundane perspective. This is further proof of my neophyte condition. If I were truly advanced, I would be able to tolerate anything that is thrown at me. Previously, when you criticized me, I became angry. I'm embarrassed to admit that my false ego got the better of me. Still, by the Lord's mercy, I was able to control myself and see my situation from a Krishna conscious viewpoint. Now, this is one of my favorite quotes from the Mahabharata, retold by Krishna Dharma Prabhu. And this you can memorize. Drink that which is drunk by the honest and shunned by the dishonest. Humility. Humility is bitter, pungent, burning, unintoxicating, and a revolting medicine. But drink it deeply and regain your sobriety. So, humility. Drink that which is shunned by the dishonest. And you'll find that this humility, it's very bitter, uh, distasteful, pungent, burning. But drink it till you're full and engage and retain your sobriety. Balance yourself out again. Continuing, please continue to help me. This criticism is like nectar because it literally forces me to become detached, tolerant, and humble. Yours in the service of the Lord. So, humility is a characteristic of bhakti, but you have to understand Hanuman was also very humble as he was jumping to Sri Lanka and killing so many enemies of Ramchandra. This was an expression of his humility. Arjuna also was very humble on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So we're not talking about artificial mundane humility, where you put on a bit of a show. Real humility has to come from real bhakti. The first bhakti, devotional service to the Lord. This devotional service to the Lord softens the heart, makes the heart kamala. Kamala means soft like a lotus, and soft towards Krishna. And you begin to hanker after wanting to associate with Krishna in Sakhiras friendship. This is Vrindavan friendship now, not Kurukshetra friendship or Dwaka friendship. That's tinged with Vaidhi Bhakti. So the heart becomes softened. Friendship, parental, Mother Yasoda Nanda Maharaj, or conjugal love. Conjugal love is Swakiya and Parikiya. So we follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, Parikiya Ras. So bhakti, real bhakti, softens the heart towards Krishna. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, bhakti also means compassion towards other living entities. We have to feel some compassion towards other jivas. And then in between the two is forgiveness. Kshanamapitava, the first characteristic of the stage of Bhava Bhakti, forgiveness. But of course, forgiveness can also be interpreted as tolerance or patience. Kshanamapitava. So continue chanting Krishna's holy name. in a favorable way, associating with devotees in a favorable way, engaging in devotional service, but always remain below the radar. Remain in the trenches. Don't push yourself forward. I'm the best Sankirtan leader. I am the best Pujari. I am the best organizer. I am the best Sanskrit scholar. I distribute the most books. I chant the most rounds, and I'm going to let people know about it. And therefore, I saw a poster. One devotee was advertising Siksha on the holy name of the Lord, Radhakund, and there was a picture of him. And underneath it said, he chants 64 rounds a day. So that shouldn't have been there. We don't advertise, because that's called pratista, name and fame. So better not to push yourself. When Krishna wants to push you, it will automatically happen, and you'll take some position, be given some responsibility. But if you push yourself forward to a position or a title, I want sannyas, I want to be in charge, then it's artificial and no one likes it. But when Lord Chaitanya pushes you forward, then everyone accepts it. So please chant Krishna's holy name in a humble mood and aspire to be very tolerant. And remember that our ultimate destination is not Vaikuntha, is not Ayodhya, and is not Dwarka, although we offer our respect koti, million, billion times to these places and the residents of these places, like Satyabhama, Rukmini, Uddhava. But our ultimate goal is following in the footsteps of Rupa and Raghunath, and we want to attain Vrindavan. Physically, we want our body to go to Vrindavan, but remember we have the gross body and the subtle body. So we may be preaching in Ukraine or India, South Africa in the gross body. Just like in South Africa, shortly Rath Yatra is coming up in 2 weeks. And it's going to be very big, because it will be the biggest Rath Yatra after COVID. So the body may be preaching, but within the mind. Kuyidva Sambraja Sada. Reside in Vrindavan within the mind. Then you may ask, well, where in Vrindavan? And Nija Samahitam. Nija Samahitam. It's of your choice. You may like Sevakunj. You may like the bank of the Ganges. The bank of the Jamuna. Nidhuban, very favorite. Imlatal, where Lord Chaitanya would chant. Perhaps Radhakund, perhaps Sevakunj, perhaps Shamakund, perhaps Kusum Sarovar. Certain places may resonate with you. You may have had some experience there with your Diksha Guru or Siksha Guru. You may have had some sputi. Sputi means some little realization. So you meditate on that place. And there you are chanting Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Natkat Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Go Premanandi Shila Prabhupada Guru Vaga Ki Jai. Go Premanandi Hare Hare Bo.